If you've ever sat down to work, only to find your mind drifting after 20 minutes, you're not weak. You're human. And in 18th century Japan, a man named Kaibara Eken faced the exact same problem, but on a monumental scale. He was a botanist, a philosopher, and one of the most prolific writers of his era, authoring over 100 books. His goal was to compile all of human knowledge into a single, accessible encyclopedia for the common people. But the sheer volume of work meant he couldn't rely on fleeting inspiration or brute force willpower. He wrote about his daily battle with mental fatigue, distraction, and the pressure of his own ambition. This wasn't just a historical footnote. It was a real person with a real deadline, searching for a system that could sustain focus under pressure. And what he discovered and codified didn't just solve his problem. It became the 300-year-old foundation for the Pomodoro technique you might use today. This video isn't just a history lesson. It's about uncovering the disciplined method he built, a tested solution for when your brain says stop, but the work must go on. So, before we get to the familiar timer, let's meet the scholar whose struggle made it necessary. His solution was a system he called jikanwari, time allotment. It wasn't about working longer. It was about working in a strict, rhythmic cadence. He would work in fixed blocks, often around 90 minutes, followed by a mandatory short break. The ritual was key, a deliberate act to start the block and a non-negotiable command to stop when time was up, even mid-sentence. This directly contradicts the modern myth that deep focus requires hours of unbroken flow. Instead, Eken was intuitively harnessing our brain's ultradian rhythms, the natural 90 to 120-minute cycles of alertness and fatigue. Cognitive science shows our focused attention is a finite resource that depletes. A short break isn't a distraction. It's what allows the prefrontal cortex to restore itself. So his system wasn't a quirky historical anecdote. It was a deliberate design for sustainable focus, built on the rhythm of work and restoration. And that design is what we inherited nearly 3 centuries later. So this is where the tradition becomes yours. For your next task, set a timer for 25 minutes. But don't just start a clock. Frame it as enacting jikanwari, a deliberate ritual to honor the work and, more importantly, your own finite attention. When the timer ends, here is the non-negotiable rule. You must stop. Even if you're mid-sentence, in the flow, on a roll. You stop. Then, you take a full 5-minute break. Get up. Walk away. Look out a window. This physical reset is what Eken prescribed. It's the restoration half of the rhythm. By honoring the stop, you're not being lazy. You're systemizing effort, so you don't have to rely on fleeting willpower. You are continuing a 300-year-old ritual that builds calm, resilient focus, one deliberate block at a time.